Hello, my lovely loves. How you doing? Before we start the video of our theories portion, I gotta jump in with a brief announcement. We interrupt this program to bring you some important messages. So after we recorded the first part of the podcast, I did some research because Erica asked about the number 42 maybe being significant in Shakespeare. And there's definitely a place where numbers come up in Shakespeare a whole lot, and that is the sonnets. So I went back, I researched sonnet 43, not 42, 43. So when you Google Sonnet 43, the first thing to come up is not Shakespeare. Oh no, it is a very famous poem by Elizabeth Barrett Browning. It's that poem that we all know, How Do I Love Thee, Let Me Count the Ways. And this poem is very interesting because it is about the deepest adoration, devotion, just unending, unmatched love, eternal love, unconditional love as you would have for God, but this person is not speaking to God because they say in the poem, if God choose. So if it were God that they were talking to, they would just be saying you. So this sounds a whole lot like the love a mother would feel for a child. This spiritual, infinite, eternal love, this unconditional love. It's exactly what my mama would say about me. So there's that element that can be read into it. Now, when you look at Shakespeare's Sonnet 43, that also connects to Only Murders in the Building because it is a sonnet all about seeing someone in your dreams, someone who shines so brightly. They shine even brighter in real life, but you see them in your dreams every night, and they brighten your nights. Any day without this person, it's just like night. They're just a bright, shining light. That's what this sonnet is all about. And it reminded me of, obviously, Loretta being the lighthouse. We've gotten the Statue of Liberty, which is a lady lighthouse. And there's all of these references in Salome to the moon, moonlight. Salome herself gets compared to the moon a lot. And another mention of dreams in Only Murders in the Building was Jonathan singing 3 songs when Mabel and Taubert were at that restaurant. And each of those songs were about dreams. He was singing Meet Me Tonight in Dreamland. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but now that I see this dream reference in Sonnet 43, it seems like that is trying to tell us something. So for me, it connects to Loretta because she's getting compared to this lighthouse all the time. And we're guessing Loretta is a mother or an aunt to Dickie or Ben. So it's possible that whoever killed Ben was really, really in love with him. Maybe it was his mother. Howard does have that speech from Ashes to Ashes that says, I'll never rest until we are together like we're meant to be. And the final line of the Elizabeth Barrett Browning poem is, I shall but love thee better after death. So there's a lot of love here, and there's dream references. So still trying to figure out how it all fits together, but I'm just saying this probably isn't there for no reason. I'm putting a bunch of links for sonnet analysis from my favorite websites when I need to do some Shakespeare research. That's all going to be in the description. So if you want to check that out, happy Shakespearing. And please let me know if you have further thoughts about this or if you think I'm crazy and just reading too far into it, which could be totally the case. Wouldn't be the first time. Okay, then the next thing I wanted to talk about was all these Shakespeare plays that have gotten mentioned so far. I really wanted to go back and look at them deeper and see if there's some common themes that resonate also in Only Murders. So the commonalities between Hamlet, Richard II, As You Like It, and Merry Wives of Windsor all have this theme of disguise and deception in them. So in Hamlet, right? Constantly, Hamlet is pointing out how disgraceful he finds his uncle and his mother for putting on this act, this outward show of emotion or sorrow, when inside, they're not really grieving at all. And Hamlet puts on a play inside a play. And also, Hamlet is fascinated by actors, their ability to just conjure up emotion on the surface, while inside they don't feel that way at all. They are not that person. And then Hamlet himself devises a plan to act as if he's going mad in order to manipulate his mother and uncle to uncover their guilt. There's a lot of mask wearing, and there's a lot of talk of playing characters and putting on a facade in Hamlet. In Richard II, there's also a major theme of the difference between appearance and reality, the inner person versus the outer image, the deception of that image. So the character of Richard II, he has this tendency to act like he's the king, as if he's performing the part of a king in a theatrical production. He really enjoys the ceremony, the ceremonial aspect of being king. He loves to speak in flowery, poetic, kingly language, while in reality, inside, he's not a king at all. He's very selfish. He doesn't care for his country. It's all an act just to present as king would. And in As You Like It, we know that Charles, the namesake of Charles in that play, was the court wrestler. So that was telling us that Charles is the one who punched Ben. So cool. I love that. And there's also obvious themes in As You Like It, which I've discussed, about outward appearance being deceptive as a means of escape and protection. The example being Rosalind disguises herself as a man. A lot of disguises are worn in As You Like It. And then the Merry Wives of Windsor was briefly mentioned, and I didn't even think to point out that, there's obviously another example of many people wearing disguises and costumes. A lot of the time it's men dressing as women in Merry Wives, but almost every character in that play wears some sort of a mask. For example, Ford dresses in disguise as Brooke to catch his wife, who he believes is having an affair. And as in Sonnet 42, there's a huge theme of jealousy and betrayal in Merry Wives of Windsor. So connections there. I would love to hear from anyone who has more insight about these Shakespeare connections. You can think of more connections to Only Murders in the Building. I know, I have to say, my crazy theater brain is very delighted. It's my favorite part of this season, is all of the Shakespeare clues. So let me know if you can find any more. I also plan to do more research on the play Ashes to Ashes and, see what else I can dig up, pun intended. I want to know how this play relates to Only Murders. So after I did a little more Googling, I found a brief synopsis of the play you can see that says, a woman in the play is haunted by appalling memories of genocide, deportation, and most disturbingly, a tenderly recalled masochistic erotic relationship with a modern Herod-like infanticide. And in fact, she may never have experienced these things at all. So when I saw Herod-like, I was like, oh my God, Salome. And it also reminded me of Loretta quoting the Edna St. Vincent Millay poem, Recuerdo, with Oliver on the ferry, which is all about memories. And the very next line, which, I hate that it took me this long to realize, the very next line after we were very tired, we were very merry, we had gone back and forth all night on the ferry, is, we hailed good morrow, mother, to a shawl-covered head. And bought a morning paper, which neither of us read. So more mother stuff. And really all signs seem to be pointing to Loretta at this point, right? With all of these clues. So is this too obvious? Does this mean that she is probably not the killer? Maybe. Do let me know what you think. All right, that is all I have to say. And now Paul and I are going to record another murder mystery film review, Dial M for Murder. Ooh, so excited, one of my faves. I'm Hitchcock crazy lady. So if you haven't already checked out Paul and I's Clue film review, the shorter version of that is on public YouTube with an extended cut on Patreon. That's patreon.com/perfectlymarvelouspodcast. Check it out. And now back to your regularly scheduled programming. All right.
Like a tail on my shoulder. Okay.
Yes. So, guys, y'all, this is a lizard on Kara's shoulder, which has disappeared into the background. So when you see a tail, just
or a foot,
a mysterious
it's my
lizard
bearded
foot.
dragon. It's fine.
Yes, it's fine. Don't be concerned.
Oh God.
Pay no attention to the lizard behind the curtain. Okay, theory time. I am very excited to hear what you say because we missed you last week, and you said that you had a revelation in your mind. I don't know if you heard my theory.
Yes,
my cracked out theory.
I enjoyed it, but
I don't know how much I still believe it. I think it was. Yeah. I think what's happening is that I have wishful thinking that I really just want it to be Meryl Streep because wouldn't that be awesome? So I might be overthinking things a little bit, and I think that because everyone is basically taking it for granted at this point that Ben is a twin, I'm trying to not go in that direction on principle because you and I do this thing where we don't go with the crowd because it's just because it's a crowd.
I don't want it to be true. Now Daryl's a ghost popping in and out, like Gideon.
Ghosty Daryl.
It's true though. Like the more that people are assuming things, which is another reason why I've tried not to look at anything. The only thing that really pops up is different Facebook comments. But when I texted you guys, I had been rewatching, again, the episodes while I was working. The episode, was that episode 3 where Mabel and Tobert go into Ben's apartment?
I think so, yeah.
And, you know, Dickie comes in and he's all angry. He's like, okay, I'll let her know, which we assume is him, you know, talking about Loretta, not Meryl, getting that role. And he picks up a jade egg and hurls it.
Everyone says it's a jade egg. It's called a cobra egg from Cobra. She never says jade. Mabel never says jade. This is another thing people are like almost taking for granted.
But if you look at it, the color of it is a jade egg.
Right.
Like, but I think, and for Cobra, like an egg for the Cobra, I could see them having like giant jade eggs, like greeny reptile things.
Yeah.
It just seemed so weird that there was an egg and that he hurled it. And the only other mention, of course, is Cinda Canning with the jade egg between her legs.
So random.
Right? I don't know. Like, that feels almost too coincidental to me. I could see Cinda also ending up being some other sort of red herring where she was really trying to get Mabel to podcast with her. And maybe she and Dickie were, you know, they either wanted to have a faked attempt on Ben's death or they actually wanted to kill him. Like, maybe she and Dickie were dating. I don't know. And they tried to kill him. It didn't work. He gets pissed, and all because she wanted her popular murder podcast back. I was just like, that just seems too weird to not come up at all. So I could also see it being one of those things that they throw in on the last couple of episodes to make us think like, oh, we finally got it, and then we don't. So that was my first thought. The other one is I'm 100% convinced that Loretta is Dickie's mom, with all of the photos in that scrapbook having Dickie in the background. I think it's too obvious. I don't think she's like obsessed with Ben. I don't think she's secretly Ben's mom. I'm convinced that it's Dickie. The one thing
you're thinking that the article, that the Wrap.com article, which I'll link again, listeners, if you haven't seen it, listing all of the characters, and they have a brief description. When they mention Dickie, they just call him the adoptive brother.
When I heard you say that, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, somebody let that out there and let it slip.
And no one noticed it for weeks later.
That's what's crazy. So then I felt, if she is, like, if he's adopted and it's not Loretta, like that, okay, that'd be weird, I guess, or I don't see why that would be included. But I felt proud of myself for...
Yeah.
The other thing that popped up was basically, and I'm sure this has to have been mentioned elsewhere because it also seems too obvious, was Loretta and Oliver talking about how he just happens to have that joint that was probably rolled from him and they were at the same party. And I don't know if it would be too weird or too obvious if Oliver ended up being Dickie's father somehow.
Okay, so but viewers, listeners, y'all, Kara has not looked at any Reddit stuff. I've looked at a couple of YouTube things, and I've looked a little bit on Facebook. But other than that, theories-wise, I haven't. And when I say I looked a little bit on Facebook, I mean a very, very little bit. So I don't really know what people are saying right now. But what you're talking about, people have brought that up, yes.
Okay, because I was like, as I was sitting there thinking, I was like, there's no way that this hasn't come up, but I could see it happening.
Do you think that they're really going to do an Oliver?
I don't think they're going to do it. I think they could fake us out with it, though.
They did an Oliver
paternity thing.
Yeah, that was second season, so.
The only thing that made me think that they could possibly still do it is that his son that he thought was his turned out not to be, and now he has a son that he didn't even know about, and they do like that kind of parallel.
But there is something to the fact that Ben is 40 years old and that party was 40 years ago.
Yes.
Like, we're all doing math. We can all math at least that
weird.
much.
And Loretta and Oliver and Dickie, like, and I don't know. I think that Dickie does not know that Loretta is his actual mom. I'm assuming that's not the case, even after Ben has passed away. And that either Ben thinks that Loretta is being predatory towards Dickie, or he found out what was actually going on, and that's the reasons why he didn't trust her.
No, see, I think that it's definitely got to be something with Loretta where I'm sorry, but you do not, as a man, put your hands on a woman like that unless they've done something bad to you.
Yeah,
You just don't. I just don't get the sense that, I mean, he seemed a little lechy, like when he came, I just really had an issue with the way he walked in that room and just came right on to hit on Kimber.
Well, yeah,
but that just skeeved me out. And it does say in these articles about Ben, I have to say
something serious.
What did it say? Oh yeah, okay. So it said he said something mean about Dolly Parton, which is like, you do no, sir, you do not know.
No,
he sent a weird letter to Queen Latifah, some like anonymous letter to Queen Latifah. I don't know. So he's not a good guy.
He's kind of creepy.
He's a creep,
That's
right? But I just don't think he's so like out of it that he would put his hands on Loretta if she wasn't really threatening him in some.
That's the thing. Like, there's gotta be something.
She's got dirt on him. She knows something about him.
The main thing that it just watching Saz pop up, I was just like, what if instead of like a freaking twin or something, it's one of Ben's stunt doubles and they have coordinated some sort of ridiculous either,
that would be so
theory.
good.
Like, and everybody keeps talking about the twin thing. And I was like, I hate how common that theory is now from what, like, even news articles when I'm trying to avoid shit.
Do you realize that people are basically taking it for granted, Kara? People are operating now with that as like canon knowledge. I'm like, this is not canon, guys.
If that ends up being true, I will be disappointed. I would enjoy it more if it was a stunt double played by like Paul Rudd or something that they just made look a little, and that would explain more of the poorly like placed tattoos like getting mixed up. I don't know. And Dickie, I still think Dickie is involved somehow.
Yeah.
Or
100%.
Loretta. But I don't know if Loretta is involved to the point that maybe she thought Dickie did something, or she suspected that he had some sort of ill will towards Ben and she's assuming he did something and she killed him to cover it up.
I don't mind things being on the nose like that. I mean, maybe a little on the nose because it's exactly like the elephant thing. It's exactly like the play. It's exactly, well, I don't know if there's a lot of other play references we have where mothers save their sons. Yeah. That's something, or mothers save their children. There's a lot of child getting taken away from mother references in all these plays.
She regrets it. It is absolutely a regret. I think that she quote unquote abandoned this child.
Yeah.
And I could, like, she would do anything. And I could see that being, covering up his, like, a murder he committed or helping him finish one off. And all of this talk about, all the play references when we're talking about brothers conspiring against brothers killing brothers. Yeah. Like,
I know. This is how I feel. I feel like because my brain could go in so many different places, and this is what I feel like. There's no envelope anymore, people. The envelope is gone because what's the point? We're just going to keep, like, no one fucking knows because we have equal reason to almost suspect everyone, and there's a lot of players this year. And I don't think they're giving us this many characters for no reason. I think it's going to be multiple murderers, if not like an Orient Express situation. And I don't know about
I could see like for a sec.
I don't know why for some reason I really feel like she's not the mother. I feel like she knew the mother. She's friends with the mother of Dickie. And and then when Dickie got adopted, he was Ben's brother. So that's how that went. But my opinion, Cliff has been out of the picture. We have not heard a lot from Cliff. So we don't know anything about his backstory. In my opinion, definitely not related to Donna. That would just be gross. He's also adopted.
Maybe we're just assuming, like, we do keep having these reactions to them being intimate. I was like, are they actually?
They're fucking making out in front of people.
That
they're not related, no. But this is what I'm saying. You got two adopted people in the same show. Dickie was adopted, and clearly Cliff is not her biological son. So two adopted people, I don't know. Wouldn't it be cool if they were brothers and that mattered somehow? I just don't know. This is the thing, okay? This is the big question. If Loretta's related to Dickie, Kara, why the secrecy? What's with this secrecy? Who cares
what
then?
Do you mean?
Why can't she publicly say this is my son? Why is she hiding?
Well, I mean, depending on legally how the adoption was, there's a possibility that it was a closed adoption and she would be not permitted to contact him at any point.
Okay, the lawyer speaks.
Like, for him to reach out to her. So that was a possibility. Okay. But also, like, who knows? If she has been that obsessive for that long that she's keeping. Let's say if Dickie is her son that at some point she had to give up for adoption, and she has been keeping this scrapbook over the years with, what but Ben's mentions also all involve Dickie. Those pictures, every single one had Dickie in the background too. And if she has been that obsessive, I could see her being hesitant as to how to approach it. And she's probably also idealized it and dreamt up, this wonderful reveal in circumstance where she can finally sit down with him and say, I'm your mother. And then who knows, maybe she saw Dickie coming out of Ben's dressing room and made an assumption that Dickie tried to kill him, and that's why she hasn't said anything. Because if she was trying to protect him, she could have pushed him down the elevator. She could, I could see her taking responsibility and to protect him in some way.
I really think that's what it is. It's what my gut's telling me.
But do people think she's Ben's mom? Is that still?
Everyone thinks she's Ben's mom.
I just don't. I mean, well, now that we know that there was that article, if she's Ben's mom, that would make less sense now that we know that there was an article that said Dickie was.
It would make more sense because of all the secrecy, but now that you say, no matter whose mom, famous person or not, she wouldn't be able to speak just because when it's a closed adoption, you can't do that. It's a legal thing. I did not know. So this actually...
And those were more common back in the day, especially with younger women who had children.
Yeah, of course. So everyone is saying, we get it. She's Ben's mom because she's being secretive about it. If she was Dickie's mom, a lot of people just are like, why the secrecy? If it's Dickie, he doesn't have a reputation to ruin. But no, what you're saying makes sense. So I really just get the feeling that she's not Ben's anything. I think that Dickie and Cliff, are going to turn out to be related brothers, in my opinion. I think this is what's going to happen. I think I said twins. I said twins more on the last podcast, and probably not because they're way different. The actors are 10 years apart in age. So they're probably going to be brothers, and I don't know what this whole thing is about, though. Why the killing? Why the murder?
Because I like your idea and how you pointed out with the, the showrunners and the writers being like, well, season 3.
I also think I'm way overthinking.
3 killers. But I could see it. 3 killers in terms of, let's say, I still like my...
If it's not 3 killers, I'll be mad. Because I like when things make sense, like you. Numbers like that would be happy. 1, 2, 3. Come on now.
Or maybe it would be 3 killers in the sense where, throwing out if somehow Dickie is conspiring with someone, whether it's Cinda Canning or Loretta, and somebody separately pushed him down the elevator. There's still 3 people involved.
Right.
And the Cinda Canning thing, while I could see it, I could still see it. And I don't think the Jade egg thing is a coincidence. So it might be a red herring.
Why, though? What is this Jade egg about?
Or were Cinda Canning and Ben, sleeping together and working together to try to, did he fake his own death to try to, raise publicity for the show? I don't know, Dickie finds out, gets pissed, shoving him down the elevator. Loretta then covers up for Date. Something. I still think Loretta and Dickie are important to it. But with Cinda, I don't know. I would also just really like it if Cinda Canning was podcaster turned murderer, attempted murderer, to try to keep that going. Yeah, after her.
I thought that would be. I think that Cinda's here for a reason. I hope she is. I hope she's here to play. Tina Fey can play, and I really want to see her. If Meryl Streep is not the murderer, then Tina Fey murderer.
I would
be
really
excellent.
Enjoy that, and I do also like the idea of the possibility of, Ben having a stunt double or something instead of a twin. I don't want it to be a twin.
I really like this stunt double idea, Karen. You have no idea how much I like this idea. You have no idea how much I like.
But I thought for a second when Howard looked out into the audience and saw, the guy standing there, I was like, it kind of looks like Ben in that coat and the little hat, and I was like, what if it's his stunt double? What if we're supposed to think it looks like Ben?
Mind blown. Good one.
The only reason I thought of that was because of Saz and how she and Charles, it's so funny. I love that. And the fact also, since I wasn't here last week, the joke that when she came in and said she had been working as the stunt double for Scott Bakula,
And she just stop, drops, and rolls for no reason. She's like, yeah, want to see my roll real quick? I'm like, yes, Jane Lynch.
I was like, that was a wonderful callback to the pilot with Steve Martin and Oliver being like, oh, I thought you were the other one, like Scott Bakula, and then he goes, oh, you're the other one. And how much people mixed up Steve Martin and Scott Bakula back in the day, it made me
oh my god, I didn't even think of that connection.
So happy.
Tara, you're so good.
I
nice
loved
catch.
But
that is hilarious.
I don't have a concrete theory anymore, but I could see a sort of Cinda, Dickie, Loretta involvement, whether Cinda, I don't see it as likely that Cinda and Dickie would be involved. I could see Cinda and Ben working.
I bet you that's what it is, too, because you at least suspect it. I have a feeling that I'm trying to guess things. I almost feel like intentionally just so I'll be right, because I think I know where the writing's going. I'm not even guessing necessarily on evidence. I'm just kind of going on my gut.
Yeah.
That's what's always told me that Loretta is the murderer from the beginning. Just I had a gut feeling. And really, I don't have a whole lot to back up why I think, Cliff and Dickie are brothers. I don't know why I think these things. Not because of clues, because I think it would make a good writing choice that no one would expect. So I feel like I'm being a bad detective because I'm just trying to guess against the show. I'm just playing a game with Hulu right now.
Poppy, thinking about Poppy and Jan as the murderers, that's another thing that got me going. Is we did not have little tidbits throughout the season that led up to them being the murderer. True. And it came kind of out of left field. And knowing the characters, though, it makes sense. And so with Cinda and Ben, they're both highly motivated by fame and attention, and they're both a little shady. So I could see them working together and trying to get Mabel to work with her. I feel like that is all somehow connected. But at the same time, the stunt double thing,
this is so good. I just love that explanation for the tattoos, because I know there's going to be an explanation, and for some reason, I really don't think it's a twin. It's got to be the stunt double. It's got to be.
It's just with Dickie, I feel like he's involved somehow, and I still don't think that egg is a coincidence because it's so weird. But it would be the only little clue, the only thing throughout the whole season. That's not
even really a clue. We're never told that's a jade egg. It's literally for 2 seconons. Yeah.
That's
why I keep overlooking it, because I don't think I don't think it means anything. But when you keep bringing it up, is making me like, oh, okay, maybe it does mean something.
Trying to sit down and come up with something concrete was almost impossible at this point. So I was like, what would make sense with what we know?
You know what I do think, though? Yeah, what makes sense with what we know, exactly what you're saying, is that there is no evidence to support that Ben is a twin other than these damn tattoos. Therefore, I know it's not the Ben twin. It just can't be. It's too Agatha Christie 101. Yeah. That's textbook Agatha Christie. Yeah.
And then all of the mother stuff with Loretta and all of these themes about doing what you will to protect your child and kill for him. Maybe it's not as on the nose that Loretta is the one who pushed Ben down the elevator shaft, but I still think she's somehow involved with protecting Dickie in some way.
That's what I mean. I think it's going to come out that she is the killer, but she did it because if she didn't, then her son would have been on the line. That's I think it's she directly did it herself. Her hands were the reason that Ben died, but her heart is because of the children,
Yeah, I wouldn't think, I don't think she would just kill Ben for the fun of it. But if she was killing Ben to protect Dickie in some way, then I could totally see it.
I just think I like the three brothers thing, the Cliff, Dickie, Ben thing. And I like it too because everyone thinks that everyone thinks that Dickie is the unique one, the one that's not identical. And I'm like, no, I think that Ben himself is the unique one because Dickie and Cliff are going to turn out to be related. And just, the reason Cliff, I only can go on evidence, I guess, and a gut feeling. I think a gut feeling because they're keeping him so far apart. They haven't mentioned Cliff and Donna at all. So there's obviously something fishy with them because they're just so fucking weird. And I have no evidence really to suspect Cliff as being a part of it all. Except for just the fact he is the only one who mentions being 8 years old at some point in time.
Yeah.
So why would that reference have been made? I don't know the connection there, but there's a brotherly, Cliff is in on it in some way. And just the fact that clearly he's adopted made me think, okay, 2 adopted people. Why not?
Yeah, which is interesting.
Oh, question that I had from last time before I forget. Who do you think wrote Death Rattle? because I haven't heard anyone mention who wrote Death Rattle. When it occurred to me, I was like, oh, that's meaningful. It's got to be meaningful. Who wrote the damn play?
I just figured Oliver did. Like, that was how.
No, Oliver didn't. He rewrote it and repackaged it to be a musical as Death Rattle Dazzle.
I was like,
who is this mystery person behind Death Rattle? And that's why I'm thinking it's going to turn out that Cliff and or Dickie or both of them wrote the play.
Well, did Donna and Cliff not hire Oliver?
They did.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
and I think
don't know.
because he's a has-been and they needed a crazy director to take on this crazy project, because what director takes on a project with a problematic star and a script by an unknown anonymous person? I think that's going to become significant, whoever wrote that play. I can see it. Because the play is the thing. Hamlet, again, you know. The play's got to mean...
happy.
Yeah,
in
the
which
play's
I'll
got to
catch
mean
the
something.
Conscience of the king. Yeah,
I think that the play, because who has money for all this shit? Like, why is Donna doing this? I don't know if we're just supposed to suspend our logical disbelief to believe that. But
they actually think it'll be successful.
They go really far to make this Broadway show look fucking batshit crazy. None of this could ever happen in the real world. So I think that Donna's got to have something to the reason that she's producing this. Either she wrote it herself, or Cliff did, or she knows someone who wrote. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, Cliff is the one who wants to do the musical so bad. He's so jazzed about this musical. He's really into it. So do you not think that that Death Rattle was like set up to fail? Because that's a pretty obvious.
But I could see it being set up to fail. The only thing that made me hesitate with that is how like everybody was gung-ho about Splash. And so I feel like in this universe we're in, the taste levels and like the reality of
Splash was by Teddy though, and Teddy can be convinced of anything, as we saw. Oliver says it. He says, "Give me 5 minutes in a room with anyone, and I can convince them of anything." And usually he can though. So I think that Teddy had a reason to back that show. But what is the reason for Donna backing this kind of a show? Now it doesn't even have a star. But can I make a prediction? Prediction time. Matthew Broderick is coming in now that Charles has quit the show.
Yes.
Matthew Broderick's coming in to replace Charles. I thought it was Jonathan. Yes. I thought it was to replace Ben. He's replacing.
I'm 100% on board with that.
The constable.
I think that could be interesting. I could see Charles getting a little jealous or pissy or something about that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I could also see it. I mean, I don't want to see it that Loretta's evil, but I could see it.
Yeah.
Where
I have a hard time seeing
is a crazy psycho. I don't think that's the way they're going with it. But did you find it suspicious at all that she took Oliver's tooth? The more and more I thought about it, she gave him something, but he never really looked down at it. And I'm like, maybe she wants his DNA because, like you're saying, there is this father theory.
What if she thinks he's the dad?
Yeah, and she wants like a sample of his or something. I don't know. Maybe
I had that thought when his tooth came out and he was in her apartment.
So extreme.
What the fuck is happening?
But you can tell any kind of DNA from a tooth. A tooth will tell you everything, you know?
Yeah.
If not a paternity test, maybe she wanted his tooth DNA to like test him for other things, like nefarious experiments. I don't know. Is Loretta a scientist? A mad scientist? I don't know. I have a feeling though that whoever wrote the play is something to do with Loretta. I feel like if someone were to write a nanny character and turns out that was their mother's best friend who always took care of them. Turns out that person's Loretta. Turns out Dickie wrote Death Rattle. That's his mom. I don't know.
That would be interesting.
And also it kind of would make sense too why if Loretta knew that she was written specifically as this person in the play, she wanted to make her nanny very different, very like give her a crazy accent. Like when she was asked to just use her own voice, she was like, oh God, no, I don't want to do that. Like, she doesn't want to be herself. So maybe she's trying to disguise the character so it doesn't seem like, hi, I am this person.
Oh my gosh.
Walking in off the street.
Show.
Instant nanny.
Aunt Loretta.
So what do you make of this? This is why I think it's Aunt Loretta, because everyone has been making such a thing of like, what is this thing? And there's like a shape behind on top of the card here. It's like a big cutout card thing. People have zoomed in on this people have zoomed in on it in Facebook, and they've like gotten really into the image and flipped the image, and they're like, something's a cutout. I cannot make out words here. To save my life, if anyone has a theory about this, please let us know. Because this Merry Christmas Aunt Loretta card, it doesn't even really look like it was made by a child. The handwriting kind of looks adult.
Now that's weird.
So, yeah, I don't know what that is. If anyone can tell me.
That's odd.
That's another clue for me though, thinking that she's not the mother. There's not really too many hard clues to go on. I'm going a lot of gut here.
No,
Oh, there's something else I want you to look at here.
that is
There's
so
this blemish
interesting.
on Ben's face.
Yeah.
So, okay, everyone's making a big thing of this. They're saying that the blemish that had to be covered was the punch mark. And everyone is playing the clip of Charles punching him with his right arm, and he punches his left side of his face. And everyone's like, but the blemish at the party is on the right side of his face. So the blemish was from something else. And I'm like, no, guys, that's blood on his mouth. See the
Yeah.
blood that dripped?
That's
And I
what
just want
I
people
would
to see
assume.
this because no one is getting this. Everyone thinks that
Yeah.
thing is the punch mark. I'm like, no.
Well, and he also left the hospital like against medical advice, assuming not like all cleaned up and good to go. I just assumed it was dried blood when I saw
Yeah.
it.
No, we're meant to completely, it's canon at this point that the punch was the thing that Joy covered up with makeup. Like that
Yeah.
plot is over, we've moved on. So people that keep speculating, I just wanted to once and for all clear the air on that. It's dried blood. There was, the only other thing that I have a huge question about is this Menage a Trois poster. So check this out.
Oh, yeah.
There are two photos, but the one that's bigger is the one that says, when I finally found this is in one frame, guys. I went through the episode and tried so hard to find a place where you can see the top of this
Yeah.
poster that's got, it says Menage a Trois it's got a blue background
It's
and
like
three
pulling
people.
back the curtain.
Yeah, there's pulling back a red curtain.
Huh.
Three people laughing, and they're like creepy, big, open, weird.
Can we
laughing
tell
mouths.
whether this figure, like right underneath the curtain, is that the only image we ever see of it? Like where it's cut off, or can you tell whether it's a male figure or a female figure?
Oh no, that's a man in the middle, and I think it's meant to be two
Right.
women on either side.
Two
I
women.
think.
Then I'm going with it's going to represent Dickie and Cinda and Loretta all being involved.
Nice.
Because
Good.
I don't like.
That
I don't
supports the
know.
theory.
Other than just more play on of 3 being the third season, or possibly 3 killers.
It's three
Like,
killers, I think 100%. So
yeah.
you can see the top
If it's
of the
2 women and a man,
yeah, it's going
as
to be.
the 3 killers, that would
The
be
crass
interesting.
menagerie is what the whole thing says. In this one frame, you can see it high enough to see. I was zooming in. What does it
Yeah.
say? The crass menage a trois. At first, I thought it was the crass
Interesting.
menagerie, and when you Google
Yeah.
the crass menagerie, that's been made into a play, I think, and it's a book. It's a bunch of things, but the crass menage a trois. This is not a play. I can't find anything about it. If anyone out there has information about a play with this
Right?
poster,
So
let me
that's a
know.
very intentional.
Very intentional. I
poster.
believe it's made for the prop. Yeah, it was a prop for the show.
That is interesting.
Some unanswered questions as well from this episode that we got. Why is KT's office locked? What does the shredder mean? What's going on with this KT?
know.
Who are those voices in the office?
I wonder if Loretta, you know how she mentioned back in that first episode that she was in a rush to get her costume on or whatever?
Yeah, right.
Like, this is completely random. But if she somehow went to Ben and maybe tried to approach him first about being Dickie's mother and tried to show adoption paperwork or something, and Ben flipped out, didn't like that.
See,
She rushed out. I have no idea what the shredder's
I think she
for.
came to Ben with some kind of information on him. I know something about you, famous person.
Try to bribe
some kind
him
of-
or blackmail.
Something. I don't know. And I just don't know how seriously, I don't know how it all fits together. But yeah, I think that
shredder
she's
thing.
yeah. There's a reason to take note that something's, just pay attention to paper documents going forward. Let's
just see.
Pay special attention to those things because there could be some significance to the night Ben died. Something
But
got
I
shredded.
feel like I'm jaded by the first 2 seasons in that there weren't a ton of clues
Jaded.
leading up to
You got
who
your mama's style.
the killer would be. It's
I hear
basically
that song all the
like
time.
your call to that song, Jaded.
Yeah,
It works.
I have yes, I have permanent. I get divs to sing it whenever I want.
Yeah. I don't know. I keep going back to how there weren't giant, or even very subtle breadcrumbs leading us to who the killers were in the first 2 seasons. So the fact that everyone is putting forward a ton of theories, I feel like some of them are going to be right, but it's not going to be like spot on as to who actually killed him. I feel like it's still going to be pretty out of nowhere who the actual killer was. And we're all assuming, again, so we're the trio, that he got pushed down that elevator shaft. We still don't know if he tripped and fell, if, like if it was inadvertent. So I think there's still going to be things that we don't call and that aren't laid out with evidence, just because it wouldn't fit the first two seasons. I
agree.
That pattern.
I totally
It's driving me crazy, though.
It's driving me crazy that I don't know what poisoned Ben.
I know.
Medication, mangoes, cookies. Now that everyone is saying the poisoned cookies, it's like, I just don't think it's poisoned cookies.
Because they did make it very clear how much he loved those cookies and couldn't control himself at the table read.
A little too clear, if you ask me.
Yeah. So I was like, is that another thing? Like, or are we supposed to think that...
I like the mangoes idea because it was so subtle, honestly.
Right.
Lots of mangoes in the Cobro diet, right?
Yeah.
You know what I thought about? Just something kind of random that I forgot to mention last time we podcasted was the fact that Ben hates Loretta from the get-go. He I feel he pretends to like her when he's like, oh, at the table read, the energy, oh, look at her.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he sees her act and she's like a little off,
Stinkaroony.
he goes right to get her fired. But what's weird to me is like he must have not ever really wanted her fired that badly, because A-listers can fire nobodies. If Ben... said he didn't want to work with so-and-so would be gone yesterday, So the fact that Loretta gets
but he told
her part,
Oliver that, didn't he? Like he said.
Well, and Oliver said, you go, I go.
Yeah.
I just wonder if Loretta had something over Ben's head and he was under her. She had something on him. I don't know.
For him to get that angry, like it had to be something that personally affected him. Like I don't think he's angry on Dickie's behalf. Like it had to be something that personally affected him. He's that kind of selfish and short-sighted that I don't think he'd care if it was anybody else.
Right on.
And we also we dropped the whole hanky thing again. They haven't really referenced that the last couple episodes.
There's a question, there's an unaccounted for hanky, unless they are also counting Katie and Howard's as being unaccounted for, because I haven't heard anyone ask about where their hanky is. But the unaccounted for hanky, we don't know where Kimber's went, where that ended up. Some eBay person bought it,
and Bobo was the only one to not say voluntarily, I'll bring mine in, and say I still have mine.
I feel like that really stuck out to you, though.
I was waiting, like, as Charles said it, and he's like, and then he never brought it up to Mabel. I was like, how did you...
Well, no, but then the next episode, he says, we got everyone's hankies except Kimber's. That's a line that's said. Yeah. Mabel says it.
I don't know. That still bothers me.
I think that when Mabel said in the next episode, we got everyone's hanky except Kimber's, I'm pretty sure that was the writers putting it to bed. I don't know, though. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm giving that to... Maybe I'm overlooking it. I'm
going to rewatch them again and start taking notes.
It's not going to help. I'm telling you. I watch in pieces. I know. When things come up in my mind, like, oh, yeah, how did they say that line? Or what was that room like? And that, I'll go back and watch little bits.
Yeah. Which is why, it's funny to me that there is such a culture around this show for trying to figure out who the murderer is.
Oh my God. Only murder season is better than Halloween to me, which is saying something. But I think for predictions going forward, we can definitely almost guarantee that Matthew Broderick will be coming up soon, and he will be filling in for Charles.
Yeah.
That will happen. Mabel will work with Cinda in some form. Something. I can
see that.
They're gonna team up with Tobby over there. And all podcast together, and it's going to piss off Charles and Mabel. But they will get back together because I pulled a Kara, and I rewatched the trailer before we podcasted. And the only moment from the trailer that we have not already seen, y'all, Mabel says to the guys outside Bobo Malone's dressing room door, you want to make a podcast with me? And they all go like, that was corny or that was cheesy. And then she goes, okay, murder? We haven't seen that scene yet. So they're obviously, shocking no one, the band will get back together. And I need to see it now.
Well, we also haven't seen the wedding dress stuff or Matthew Broderick.
Oh, right.
Okay, so I'm going to rewatch all the episodes and the trailer after...
Yeah, you gotta rewatch the trailer too, because stuff
There's stuff in there.
It's the only glimpse into the future that we have. So if we want to know anything more, that's
so
where we gotta
excited.
look.
The show's so fun.
So I know.
Even if we're all wrong, it'll be worth it.
It's so fun.
Entertaining.
Yes. I love Sherlocking.
Yeah.
Sherlocking. All right, guys. That is all we have for the episode. Now we're going to get into some lovely, delicious, scrumptious feed crack. Oh, I'm so excited.
Num num. It's Evelyn Marie Morris. Num num.
Here we go, my loves. It is time, my favorite time. It's time for the thing that I'm I'm a little bit shaky though, guys, because of the lack of it on this. It's so weird because in Mrs. Maisel we had so much feed crack. Jade was permanently cracked out. I didn't even notice how much crack there. I mean, we knew there was a lot of feed crack. But on Only Murders in the Building, there's like no feed crack. So Jade's sometimes
I want to know theories and marvelous moments.
I know. So I don't know why people are so hesitant to write in this time, because we're getting a ton of downloads. So it's not like people aren't listening. But listeners, if you're leaving feedback elsewhere, can you just like copy and paste it to us? Because elsewhere, it seems that other channels don't read like all of their feed crack. To them, it's just mere feedback. They are not such addicts as I. Amateurs. They don't eat the feed crack like I do for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Oh, God.
I love how this became a thing. Like, Jade is just obsessed with listener feedback. I love feedback. I do. But, in all honesty, when I don't have it, I'm okay. I'm fine. Don't be concerned.
Don't worry about Jade.
Yeah. But, it's surprising. So if you want to copy and paste your feedback that you tell other Only Murders podcasts or YouTube episodes, then tell us as well, and we'll read it and we'll respond to it, and it'll be a rip-roaring hoot of a time. You know you want it. So first we got a new Apple Podcast review. It's a 5-star review from, help me out with this name, Kara.
Oh gosh.
Docias?
Doshai? I have no idea.
It's either Docias or Docias. So they say, I love listening to you three talk about your different theories. In episode 4, where you talk about the negative review that guy left, how he was upset about your gushing. I love the gushing. Certain things you just need to be gushed about. Very excited for your episode 5 review. Is Loretta Dickey's mom? That's what I think. Keep being awesome. Oh,
I like it.
There you are. Kara, that's her theory. For me, I'm thinking aunt. It's just me.
I can't wait.
Otherwise, why put that little thing on the fridge?
That was weird.
They know we're gonna be zooming into shit.
That handwriting something about that looked familiar, and I don't know.
No, maybe we're comparing the wrong handwriting.
Why?
Right? I forgot to mention that. Good point. Yes, I did think of that.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, look at that handwriting. Mm-hmm.
And I like how that reminds me, like, people are talking about, this was something actually, so I finally got one of my coworkers to listen to the show. So we were talking about it the other day, and she was telling me that people, like, in her household were looking at the note from the handkerchiefs, and assuming that Ben had written it and comparing his handwriting. And I was just like, how likely is it that Ben was the one handwriting all of those notes? Like, I would assume he would make Dickie do something like that. So
Agatha Christie level, Kara.
Right?
Yes.
But that would make
my friend does it.
Much more
Kara,
sense.
The way you just brought that up too, so like casually. Yes. I knew that I was onto something when I thought to myself, we're comparing the wrong handwriting.
Yes.
But what you
that
just said
finally triggered. I was like, oh wait, I had a conversation about this. Like,
no, because you're absolutely right, because we have a perfect handwriting sample. The card that Ben wrote that says fuck you.
It's too
Ben probably told Dickie what to write on those cards. You're so right. That's Dickie's handwriting.
Like, Ben's not doing that on his own. There's no way.
Good call. Yeah, no, Ben doesn't do anything by himself. Another connection to Richard II that I just now remembered is that he's a bad guy, but he's not necessarily to blame for by the end of Richard II, we really almost feel that he's gotten such bad counsel and such bad advice, and like he has evil people working for him.
It's not solely on
him. When you're a famous person, it's a big job, so there's a lot of people doing your life for you, and everyone thinks it's you. That's a huge, that's what you're saying about the stunt double thing, is why it's perfect. He would need a stunt double. Saz is right there in front of us. hiding in plain sight. A clue. Saz is a clue.
So I was like, is this?
Stunt
Am I reading
doubles.
too much into this? Like,
No. This fame thing holds a lot to Ben's character because that's the only thing we know about him is he's famous and he's horrible to people.
Yeah.
But
And he
I have
loves
a feeling it's going to be a
being
Richard
famous.
II. Yeah. I have a feeling it's going to be a Richard II situation. That's the only thing that I could relate. It's like I can relate Loretta to Salome so much. I talked about that a lot last episode.
Yes.
I can really relate. Ben is a Richard II tragic figure. Let me see
Yeah.
if there's anything other notes I had about Richard II to mention because I think I took a couple more notes. Oh, there's a thing in Richard II that's a lot about the land. And there's a connection from that to Cherry Orchard I made. When in Cherry Orchard, they talk a lot about selling the house, the cherry, it's like a character, it's a person, it's the biggest person, is the Cherry Orchard itself. In Richard II, if Richard is bad for England, there's like Richard versus England.
Yeah.
And the duality between the land and its people and then the king who rules. Richard he's deposed for this reason. Like the cardinal sin of Richard's kinghood is that he leases out the land and the land is sacred. And John of Gaunt, on his deathbed, says to Richard, "You're not England's king, you're England's landlord." And it's like, gut to
burn.
Such a burn, a Shakespearean burn.
Oh,
God. So I was thinking the land could be the play. Like the Cherry Orchard itself. It's like the theater, it's the stage, it's like the play itself.
I like that.
So Glenroy bad for play, like Richard bad for England, I think so, maybe. I'm just connecting a lot to Ben and Richard.
I love all of their Shakespearean. Like, I cannot get it. I need
such fun for me. You have no idea.
Like, we should start playing like Shakespearean bingo if this goes on into a fourth season.
Yeah.
I need some sort of like
twist my arm, Kara. Twist my arm.
I need a Falstaff reference at some point in time. Like,
yes.
It would be, that would be fun.
Well, they do mention Merry Wives of Windsor.
That's true.
There's another thing with Richard's greed and desire, like driving him. But I was thinking because he's got this corrupt like council of people around him, these evil people telling him what to do. Could Dickie be the evil one, like telling Ben to be bad, or is that the reason that he comes off looking like such an ass? I don't know. There's a thing that Ben says about himself, like I can't walk into a room without being an asshole, and I'm like, that seems like a weird thing for someone to say about themselves, but. Maybe that comes from like your life not being your own. Maybe there's a reason. I don't know. Ben might be the one being mistreated. I would love it if Dickie turned out to be nefarious. I think that would be cool.
Be very interesting because I don't think anybody would expect that. Yeah. So she.
Or Loretta being nefarious. I mean, who doesn't want to see evil Meryl Streep? I mean, please. Please, yes, please.
Or was it? Spoiler alert, like Harrison Ford in What Lies Beneath 20-something years ago. That shocked me. I think I was like 11 or something when I saw it.
You mentioned that on another podcast, and I was like, Jesus. Okay, spoiler alert, I guess. You just did it again.
It just makes me think of Charles using it so wrong.
You're so cute that shocked you, though, because I remember seeing What Lies Beneath when it came out, and I was not shocked by that at all. I was like, yeah, I knew it was him. Of course.
I also had a gigantic crush on Harrison Ford, like, especially middle school years, because that's when I saw Indiana Jones and Star Wars. And, like, I have a type, like, tall, dark, sarcastic ass. And that was Harrison Ford. And I was not prepared for him to be the bad guy.
Yeah.
Looking back on it now, I watched it after, I must have been because of that podcast episode where we mentioned it before, but I watched it maybe like a month ago. And now I was like, how did I not see this coming? Like, this is ridiculous. It's not a bad movie though. It holds up.
You think so?
Okay, so it's not great.
I rewatched it recently, and I was shocked at how not good it was. I was like, man, I watched this movie multiple times as a kid. It was big when I was like in middle school.
Maybe entertaining is the right word, because there are plenty of horrible movies that I have been very entertained by.
I just think it's a thing that I happen to love Harrison Ford as an actor, and I happen to love
Michelle Pfeiffer?
Michelle Pfeiffer, thank you.
Yeah.
Right out of my head. I happen to love her as an actor, so.
Yep, let's go. Keep going. Yeah.
Yes, back to Feedcrack. Tangents. Well, that was an important tangent, though, because I did forget to talk about those Shakespeare Cherry Orchard connections, and they're really, really in here a whole lot. Yes.
For sure. You want me to start with?
I just think that we should consider all options, and Ben might not be... Don't take it for granted he's a fucking twin, and don't take it for granted he's the bad guy.
We should not be taking anything for granted at this point. For sure.
Never in any life, no. So we got an email from my favorite girl. Liz wrote 2. She wrote the first one right after we podcasted last week. I think I saw this one. So sorry, Liz. It's an amendment to her last Feedcrack. So, okay. Liz says, "Hello, God of Pods. I need to publish a correction to my last message. I commented on episode 4 late, and since I rushed it, I mistakenly called Joy Jan." Yes, we got this. Joy is a lovable nut job and a great addition to the cast. I'm still laughing at her antelope squawking. I must say, there's a million ways to get a lover in bed with you, but I never considered imitating an antelope to be one of them. Very creative.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
Liz, I love you.
And Liz's second email says, "Hello, enchanting Erica, kick-ass Kara, and jackpot Jade the pirate."
Arr.
Makes me happy. I'm confused.
Me too. I know, you can read it.
Okay. Almost as confused as Mitch McConnell. Too soon? You're free not to read that sentence on the air. Yeah, that's fair. But she read it.
She says, in our current political climate, everybody is losing their shit. Remember when people could actually take a joke? Man, those are the good old days. I love you, Liz. I love you.
Funny.
Liz is my kind of, I fuck with this bitch.
My face.
She's my kind of woman.
My cheeks hurt.
Yeah.
She said, anywho, I'm sure she's not the only person wondering this next. She said, "I know you recorded on Sunday, August 27th. You discussed episode 5. I didn't get episode 5 until August 29th, and I won't get episode 6 until September 5th at 12 a.m. Where are you marvelous ladies finding the new episodes? Is Jackpot Jade the pirate an actual pirate?" So, fun fact.
Yes, I am a pirate.
Yes. And 2, we are very fortunate to have gotten screeners from Hulu. So we have kind of, we've mentioned before, it's not HD quality or anything like that, but it is a first rough cut of the episodes. And they send
it's the
out.
Real cut. It's the regular cut. It's the same cut as you guys see.
I say rough as in not the actual term in entertainment, rough as in SD as opposed to HD quality.
SD at best.
Yeah. So
fuzzy.
We have the episodes early, and that way we can record.
We only have episodes 1 through 8. Yeah, we don't know the last 2. We have to all watch those in real time.
Yes, and all 3 of us, we are not watching ahead.
Oh, no.
Because one, we
On
don't.
my honor.
Right? It's no fun to do it that way, and we don't want to spoil any of our theories or anything like that. So, all of us, Scouts Honor, we are not watching ahead.
I mean, you have to take our word for it, but it's true.
Yeah.
If you knew me, you would know I would never do that. But yeah. Okay, so she was asking where are you marvelous ladies finding the new episodes? Is Jackpot Jade an actual pirate? Yes, I am a pirate. I assume, but I'm not pirating the episodes. I assume you guys will be on episode 6 when you record this week, but I can only comment on episode 5. Damn Hulu. They can shove their odd-ass release schedule up their Hershey highway. Moving on to why I'm here. Marvelous moments. I have 2 in The Return of Saz and Oliver's Date, which gave us a lost tooth, and even better, 40-year-old weed and a shotgun kiss. This date also had the potential to shoot Loretta to the top of the suspect list. Her apartment is cluttered with everything that makes Loretta Loretta. And before I forget to mention this, there is an article I will link that Erica sent about all the Easter eggs in Meryl Streep's apartment. All this stuff that is little nods to her famous roles in other characters like The Devil Wears Prada's in her bookshelf. It's a cool article. I'll link it. So yes. Back to Liz's email. She says, Oliver got up and poked around a bit as Loretta drew their bath. He found her Ben souvenirs a bit too fast for me to buy into, too contrived. Yeah, you're not the only one saying this. I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was well hidden. Maybe that's just me, though. I'm having trouble picking out at least marvelous moment. I considered President McKinley's time out since his namesake was assassinated. His punishment was mild.
That's
indeed. Oh man, I'd be so nervous. Leave President McKinley alone. I agree wholeheartedly with Erica. I don't trust Tobert, especially now that he's moving on Mabel. He's moving in on Mabel. I've watched and listened to enough true crime to know that murderers like to weasel their way into the investigation. Yes, indeed. She said, gotta go. I have senior water aerobics this morning. This sounds sad, but it's not. I'm still rehabbing from my bike accident in May, and the senior class is enough for now. If you've been to a spin class and experienced the lighting and the music, I must tell you, this class has none of that. The acoustics are horrid, and I can't understand a fucking word the instructor says. She might as well be Charlie Brown's teacher. Take care, beautiful ladies. The Roanoke Greenway hero, Liz.
I like the sound of water aerobics.
Senior water aerobics, get it? Yes, get that rehab on.
Gosh.
I'm sorry that you're listening to wah 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 teach you water aerobics. It sounds interesting.
Oh gosh. So our next feedback is from YouTube, and it's from user Price1 Todd. They said, I like what you said about Loretta being an aunt because in episode 1, when we see the young lady growing up to pursue a career in acting, while we assume this is Loretta, we never see her face. I think it's fairly canon that it's Loretta, but I see your point. Could this young lady actually be Loretta's sister up until we see Loretta reading in her little nook? Also, it seems like no one has said anything about the narrations within the episodes. In season 2, I felt very strongly in the episode where Poppy does the narration that she was actually explaining how and why she did the murder. I think in the hindsight of the reveal, as I re-listened to that episode, my suspicion became very obvious. Now in that particular narration, as with all of them, they actually seem to explain the scene they're attached to, but I always feel they really talk about something deeper to be discovered within the show. I mention this because I feel the episode with Cinda's narration about no one in New York taking time out for self-care is pointing to something deeper to be found later on in the show. One more thing. In episode 1, during the table read, Loretta has 2 bottles of Kimber's serum sitting in front of her. Do they know one another already? Things that make you go, I will say, I feel like we have brought up the narration a fair amount to tie into support for I say we. I feel like I brought it up just to try to support the whole idea of Loretta being Dickie's mother and all of the maternal things.
Yeah, we definitely touched on that.
But I agree that the narration is very important in the show and drops a lot of clues. And I assumed that Loretta had those bottles because Kimber left them for everyone.
No, so the bottles, I have pictures of this. So as you can see here, the bottles are not the same. This is the serum bottle with the
those are just
cap.
Like water bottles.
And these 2 bottles are, and one is green with a gold cap and one is brown with a black cap. So
some sort of tincture. Maybe?
Yeah, some sort of tincture. There is origami also in front of Loretta, and these things might be clues because there's origami in her apartment as well. And then with another look, there's something on Loretta's desk. Can you see these things? So these are the serum bottles that are different from Kimber's. There's this thing in front of her that I cannot tell what the hell that is. If anyone can tell me what this thing is, I have question marks over it. It's like you can see it to the side view here, and
it looks like almost a little like Post-it note holder or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought it was too. Like there's one point where you see it overhead and it kind of looks like there's something inside of it, like Post-its. Yeah, I don't know if that's significant, but there's origami in front of her and in her apartment. Maybe clues. Just calling them out.
That's interesting.
And and something else. Yeah, so that was what I thought of after I read Price Todd's message and what you say about that little girl being Loretta's sister. That would certainly support, the aunt theory. I'm like, maybe. I hadn't really thought about that. Yeah, Loretta could have a sister. I think she did. I think it was a sister or a friend of hers that is Dickie's mom. But thank you so much, Price Todd. Thank you for reaching out on YouTube. You are our only YouTube comment, and I appreciate you.
Since now since I'm pretty convinced that Cinda is somehow involved, I'm definitely going to rewatch the one with her narration and see if there's anything there.
That's the thing I've watched the most.
This is going to be fun.
I know.
I love this show.
All right, guys, let's wrap this baby up like a Christmas present. That's gonna be it for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do me the favor, like it, spank the subscribe button like an errant child.
Oh my God.
And
That's better than
comment. Leave us a comment. Tell us your murderer theories. What were you gonna say?
I was going to say, or you could punch it in the face like Charles did.
Yeah, punch that subscribe button like Charles in the face. Yes. And leave us Feedcrack for the love of the theater
Jade.
gods.
Yeah.
Gideon Gooseberry.
I love that name.
Oh, Gideon, feel him inside you.
So good.
When she said that, I was like dead. I was dead. Oh, all right. So come back next time for our review of Season 3, Episode 7, Cobra. And until then, I am Jade.
I'm Kara.
Thank you so much, and good night.
One more time. Use your stage voice. Sing out, Louise.
Thank you, and...
Your stage voice.
Gideon, I feel him inside me.
I like it.
I think it needs some work, honestly.
My microphone has a hair on it.